And next, a couple of colleagues, our president, again, and of course our dear friend and colleague, Dr. Janet Pilcher is back. Let's give Janet a hand and welcome her home. And what our two new leaders are going to tell us, what Dr. Pilcher is going to tell us, is what change looks like.
Last night when I was coming in on the plane, I was sitting by, I'm going to give you an opportunity to stand up in a few minutes, but here's what's in my mind right now. I was coming on the plane, I was ready to, it was late, thought I'm going to bring my computer out, it's going to be quiet, I'm going to get some stuff done, I'm going to check my email, go through the processes. So the individual sitting next to me looked like he was in extreme pain, and he was doing all these kind of weird facial movements and moving around and just scrunching over. And so I started getting a little frightened because I thought maybe something is wrong. And so I asked him, shouldn't have done this. Are you okay? You know? And he said, no, I'm not. I'm in a lot of pain. I just had hemorrhoid surgery. So in the spirit of that, why don't you stand, just don't leave and take a break and go to the bathroom, but just stand for a few minutes. Okay, let's just kind of count back to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to talk a little bit today. I just asked for direction in terms of what would be the most important thing for us to talk about. And I'm going to spend a few minutes addressing some of the questions that have come to me, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity at the end to ask any questions that you would like or to engage in a dialogue. So I'd like for the last part of this to be a bit interactive. What I will do in the first part of the presentation is talk a little bit about what we mean by change and leadership as we're looking at where we are now and where the future is ahead of us. I'm going to give an example. I was asked if I could give some examples of some of the work that we've done in K-12, just so that you can see what that work looks like over time. And so I'll give you some examples of some model school districts with some introductions of some superintendents and some board members. And then we'll come back to looking at how it fits into higher ed. Based on the work that we're doing together, what might the model look like? How do we begin to build out that model together? And where are we now and where could we be in the future? Okay. So I just wanted to start a few minutes just in terms of when we look at Studer Group, 95% of the work that Studer Group does is in the healthcare industry, and the individuals who work in the healthcare division work with over 1,000 healthcare organizations in the country. And for the most part, the organization itself has been very successful. We've won the Malcolm Baldrige Award in 2010, and we've been in the top 10 of great places to work in the past 6 years. So the work that we teach, we also live each and every day. And so part of my transition from higher ed into Studer Group was really not only learning how to engage with others to build better cultures in healthcare and education, but also to live that and manage a team myself or lead a team. And I don't want to spend, I'll send these slides to you all so you can have any of the information here, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of introduce you to 4 other people who work with me, just to give you a sense of who works with me and what are their credentials. So the individual who leads the K-12 division is somebody who's been in higher ed, was in higher ed at the end of her career. For 5 years, she led the educational leadership program at the University of West Florida. But about 25 to 30 years, somewhere in between there, she spent her life in K-12 organizations at the senior leader level. We also have a research and development leader, Dr. Julie Kunselman. Her background is in policy studies. She's a University of Louisville graduate, and she's been in higher ed, non-K-12 education. She actually was a Teach for America grad and taught for a while, but her work was mainly in policy studies and criminal justice. Our two individuals who work directly with our school district partners are Melissa Matarazzo and Karen Owen, and they both have experience as senior leaders in a school district and also have good education credentials. So that just kind of builds out the individuals that I have the luxury of working with every day. Just to give you a sense too, I would say we started strong working with school districts about 3.5 years ago. And so we are now working with 18 partner school districts across the country. This just gives you a good representation of where they are. One has about 2,500 students, and then we work with Charleston's and the Arlington Independent School Districts in Texas that are closer to Charleston, I think 45,000, Arlington close to 70,000 students. So it's the spectrum in terms of the type of districts that we work with. And I'll specifically introduce a couple of the superintendents to you in a few minutes. So when we focus on leadership and we focus on leadership and change, I just went back and I just pulled a couple of sentences or two out to talk more now about what's the conceptual basis that we work from when we think about leadership and we think about the focus of change. So our goal, and you could see that in the presentations this morning with really starting at the senior level. Our premise in the work that we do is that accountability starts at the top. So let me just take the school district example for a minute. In terms of education reform, a lot of the reform initiatives have really targeted the teacher level, the classroom level, and there have been mandates that, for example, 50% of a teacher's evaluation has to be on student achievement. So that's fine, whatever that means. But basically, our work, where we go in and we would say, in order to hold teachers accountable, you first have to hold leaders accountable. So when the superintendent's evaluation is 50% accountable for student achievement, then we can begin to expect the teachers to align to that if that's where we want to go. So our work is really at that school board, superintendent, executive team level, and really building the alignment there. And so our core principles are around these 4 areas in terms of what it means to be a high-performing leader, and it's specifically at that senior level. When we look at definition of leadership, and I think this resonates real well with the type of discussion that you've heard from your colleagues today, it's collectively, a leader is a person who can collectively work with people to build a team, to make decisions, to achieve organizational success. So leaders really aren't very good unless they have the ability to do that, because it really is all about the people doing the work every day that helps you achieve success. So without good people, it's hard to be a good leader. So when we look at leadership and then we look at change, so that's where we come from conceptually in regard to what do we mean by leadership and what do we mean by change. And so when we think about change, this is not work that we've invented. Nothing that I've put up here is work that we've invented. It's basically where we sit in the field, if that makes sense. So I just pulled the work of some organizational change references. Most recently, John Cotter's book, A Sense of Urgency, specifically talks about this, but we're really looking at change as a continuous process. In other words, it's not something that comes and goes, but it's something that we look at in where we are now, in the world that we live. We're continuously changing, and so we're looking at how do we embrace change so that we can basically achieve that success. And then I'll end this kind of piece of it here with Peter Singe's definition of what we're talking about today is change. We're changing, we're thinking, we're doing new things, we're looking at our strategic direction. And what what we talked about, what Kyle talked about at the beginning, is we're almost purposefully creating that creative tension. And so creative tension, as we're building the learning organization, from what Peter Sinji really talked about, that creative tension is really what energizes us. It can paralyze us if we don't handle it well, but for the most part, especially in an academic environment, it can truly energize us to really come up with creative solutions on how we can get better and how we can build the best environment for the students that we work with every day and the people that we work with every day. So when we look at LDI, so I'll take it back to Leadership Development Institutes, what are we all about? We're about teams of people working together. You had great examples of individuals just sharing the work that they're doing, and no two leaders do things the same way. You can see the variations of how leaders engage and interact, and that's exactly what we're trying to get to. It's the creativity, the innovation, and the ideas that come from for example, the survey rollout process. I came and kind of taught a process to just get the juices flowing in terms of thinking, and then you all took that and made it your own and made it work for your leadership style and what you needed to do to interact and work with each other to get the results. The last piece is it's the teamwork that's going to be influential in providing the change. And it's not one person or isolated individuals. It's truly that teamwork. So what does it look like? And I'm just gonna, I could have picked healthcare. I just decided I just picked K-12 because it's what I've been working with over the last 3.5 to 4 years. And so I just wanted to show you, here's what it looks like when we work with K-12, and then we're gonna begin to tease that out. Then what might it look like as we are working with higher education? I don't have the specific answer to that. We're going to define what that looks like together. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a picture up on what I'm thinking it's looking like. And that picture is draft in terms of what it looks like. Here's what we use. There's always a picture, right? So here's what we use in terms of the continuous improvement process and in K-12 education. It's the same, so they have accreditation processes. We're looking at continuous improvement, just as higher education institutions do. So we're looking at diagnosing, choosing actions based on that diagnostic, coaching for gaps, and then validating that when we say that things need to occur, validating those things are occurring, and then reassessing and re-diagnosing, and just continuously going through that process. What's important on this slide is when we look at what makes a good school district, it means that all schools and all departments within a district have to be excellent. So that's not so different than here. In order to be an excellent university, all colleges, schools, and departments have to be excellent. We can go most any place and find pockets of excellence, but what makes a good system is that we're all achieving excellence. And that's what your strategic planning process and your strategic imperatives are all about. So I just put this, so what does the middle of that flywheel mean for the University of West Georgia? What we are calling principles are probably what you're calling your values. What we're calling pillar results are probably what you're calling imperatives, the results for the imperatives. And then you're probably going through some of that same process of diagnose, actions, coaching, and us reassessing as we go through that continuous improvement process. So more specifically, when we go into a school district, now this model will not be the same, okay? And it's not the same in healthcare. This is where we begin to become different. But when we go into a school system, we start a lot where we start here and looking at what's the strategic plan, what's your strategic direction, what's your strategic plan. If you don't have one, we got to help you build one, okay? And that's what we'll go in with the school district. And then we go into we look at the district scorecards, what are the major 6 to 8 key drivers that are going to determine how you define success. And then for them, we move it to leader evaluations. So after about 1.5 to 2 years, we're aligning their evaluation system to their goals. For what we talked about today, when we look at the scorecards that the senior leaders presented to you, those scorecards are really your senior leader evaluations. The extent to which we cascade down into an evaluation will be up to you in terms of what that looks like. And it will not be the same as it is in K-12 because the systems are different. Does that make sense to everybody? But at the senior level, the accountability will definitely be there. The pillars, I won't go into that, but there are very specific defined pillars with student achievement at the centerpiece, and your pillars are really your 4 areas on the strategic plan. So I want to introduce you just to a couple of districts very quickly. I won't spend a lot of detail in this, but just to give you a sense, it asked me, give us a sense of what others say and what it looks like. This is Dr. Marcelo Cavazos. He's the superintendent of Arlington Independent School District in the Dallas area. It's where the Dallas Cowboys Stadium is, Six Flags, the Texas Rangers. So that's the area of the world that Marcelo lives in. It's about a 70% Hispanic population, close to 76% free and reduced lunch. So it's a very diverse place of the country. So I'm going to give you 2 videos. They're very short, but I want to give you a flavor of Dr. Cavazos and the geography of that for 2 reasons. One, it'll give you a sense of the district, but the other thing is it begins to give us a sense of what eventually these kids will grow up and come to us. So you begin to see it's a world out there that's an unbelievable world. And I think the work that I've had the pleasure to do in the last 3.5 years is really enter the world of those students every day and the work that the professionals do. And those are the students who come and grow up and we have an opportunity to leverage their future. What I wanted to show, this is just a clip. We do an employee engagement survey with the school districts. It's a Gallup-like survey. It's 14 questions, and 10 of those questions are about the individual's leader and input to the leader, and then there's 3 questions about the superintendent in terms of leadership, and then 1 question that's basically a general question to employees. Would you recommend your own school district to somebody else? And so this is Dr. Cavazos rolling out or just talking about the rollout process, just as you did this morning, and what they do with that same process with the district. So the one thing about working with school districts, it's very political and very public. So most of what we've encountered is when we put out any information in terms of results, then we work with Dr. Cavazos to talk about how to address the media, how to really look at the results, because we roll them out to the board as well as to the superintendent. And so he's really working through the process as well, not only internally, but with the media and externally. So when we look at, one of the things I wanted to put in terms of Arlington, when we started working with Dr. Cavazos and the board, they were putting forward a bond initiative. And so one of the things that we just work partner side by side with them is what do we need to do as we work through this process to help leverage your community and the engagement of people in your community to build the positive nature about what you do so that you can achieve your bond result. And this past spring, they passed a $663 million bond, which is it's incredible in this day and time in terms of the community support. And it was about 70%, I think it is, about 70% of a positive vote toward that bond. So it's all in the way that they're engaging. So although it's different in the university, you still have your way of engaging in the community. Fundraising would be a great outcome in terms of how we begin to build that engagement. So there's some commonalities there that are really important in the messaging. This is, in the last piece I'll show you from Arlington, and then I'll show you a futuristic type of example from Charleston County School District. But this is the first year, the last year report scorecard. And so every year what they do, these are the Arlington Independent School District's goals. You can't see them, but be glad to share any of it. But it basically, what I wanted you to see is we red, green, and yellow them. And so they look at after a year, what have they done well? What are they, and where are the areas that they need to improve? And how do we look at how we set goals and make those discussions for improvement? In Charleston County School District, Dr. Nancy McGinley is the superintendent there, and years ago, she and the board, we worked at the beginning stages with them here, and they did a community focus groups types of sessions to set what they called Vision 2016 goals. And so we started with what do we need to, what's Charleston going to look like in terms of looking at how they define success in 2016. And so what we're beginning to do is, those are the goals that the community provided input in terms of what they said are important. We work mainly with them with the employee engagement, parent satisfaction piece, and provide guidance and dialogue in their 45-day cycle planning process for looking at student achievement measures. But what you begin to see is where they're making progress. Again, sometimes if you look at third grade math, they had, blue means they hit their stretch goal. And then the next year, they're in the red. You know, so that's where we sit around and we work and strategically work on what happened. And then when we create action plans with them, what do we need to do in order to get it back to the blue? Why did it go from blue to red? And it's just those engaged conversations with teams to help solve those problems, not unlike what we've heard throughout the morning. Chris Frazier, last slide for the school district examples, but Chris Frazier was the board chair when we first started working with Charleston County School District in South Carolina. And here are some things that I just pulled out of a video and interview that we had with him, more honest and open, transparent communication with the superintendent. So the boards are all about superintendents. I mean, the boards are all about transparency and dialogue and engagement and relationship with the superintendent. And then the fourth bullet on the bottom is, how do we know as a board when we make a decision to spend money that it's the right decision? And so that's what we found as the underlying, so we're basically kind of in the mini program evaluation business almost, if you can think of that. So we'll look at, for money that's been spent in particular areas, how do we go in and do the research that's connected to that to help the school district define and answer those questions? So then what might it look like in higher ed? As we've been working together, you know, what could it look like? So I just built it took SmartArt and built a diagram. And basically, in the middle, you know, I think what you heard this morning is the student success is the driver of any higher education institution. And so we're really looking at a continuous improvement process that focuses at the center of student success. What we've heard, and we've heard a number of presentations that relate to the circles, the 4 circles, and I'm not sure they're the right circles, and I'm open. I mean, this is where we start the dialogue and figure out what the circles really are. But for sure, the given for us is senior leader accountability. That's a must-have in terms of the model, that there has to be senior leadership accountability. An engaged workforce, and you can see the bullets beside it in terms of what we've been doing or what will be done, what you all are doing. The shared governance piece will be a critical part in higher education, and I think we'll continue to define what does that look like. As we're looking at these things of change called performance-based funding and what it's being put in front of us in terms of how we're going to have to change, then we want to stay true to our core understanding of the way we function with shared governance. So what does that shared governance model begin to look like as we begin to move into this world of change? And how do we stay true to the core values of who we are? And then at the bottom, efficient and effective divisions. And how do we become the best efficient and effective? So if we're more efficient and effective, maybe we can have more money for retreats because we can save money and really recoup that in investing in our people. Okay. The last piece, so as we're looking at the models in healthcare in terms of evidence-based leadership and the work that we rely on. We have not invented anything, I don't think. I think we've just kind of made some complicated things relatively simple in nature and work in partnership with leaders. But what we really rely on in terms of the research aspect is, in healthcare, it's called improvement science, and looking at the evidence-based practices. What we've been connecting to is something called improvement research that is really being pushed out of the Carnegie Institute at Stanford University. And those of you who are in American Educational Research Association probably know Anthony Bryack, and he is now the president and director of this institute. So for example, one of our districts, Menominee Falls in Wisconsin, we've gone through a complete case study using an improvement research approach on the work of continuous improvement and accountability. And so I think there's a whole field of the way that we can begin to define how we integrate research into the work that we do. So for example, this is innovative in particular ways. So if we want to try something, we think we have a great idea, it's creative, and it builds something different than how we've been doing it, we may put funds, we may fund that, we do the research around it, and then if it, in a piloted state, if it works, then we begin to advance it a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and test it. So that's the nature of the work. So that what we've talked about today is really the very beginning stages of building the house. You've got to build the house and build what the priorities are and the framework. We have to do that together in terms of what's most important to us in defining goals and success. And now we're eventually, the fun part kind of comes, and we begin to look at what goes in the house. And we don't just put stuff in the house, but we together figure out, using good research practice in the way that we do, how do we determine the best things that go in the house to build the best house that we can here at the University of West Georgia. So, sorry about that. So one of the things, as you start at the use, this may be kind of corny, but I like it, and if you like it, use it. But as I start with our team, the first thing we always do at the beginning, I pulled this out of a Switch, the Heath Brothers book on change, and it's a destination postcard. And the destination postcard just asks people here, it'd be here at University of West Georgia, if we had a great year, here's why. And we just kind of get everybody to define, here's why we had a great year. Okay, with my team, if we had a great year at the end of 2014, what would that have looked like? And so I think that's where we are today, is we've started a process, but the key now is we have an opportunity as we go into a new year. How do we know that at the end of the year, we had a great college, we had a great university, we had a great department, and the conversations that we heard this morning with the sharing of your colleagues begin to define what that looks like. And all in all, it truly is the blend of the heart and mind. And I think the research is the blend of the heart and mind, because the heart of the research is what's most important to us and what means something to us. And that tugs at our heartstrings. And then we use the evidence and the numbers and the metrics that help guide us on best practices and good decision making. It can't be one or the other. It's got to be that blend of both. And that's what we're really all about as we look at these LDIs and as we do the work together. How do we connect our hearts and minds to do the best that we can each and every day that will get us to the best year? Questions or comments? Or do you want anything, Kyle?
No, I just love that. I love that question, and that's the question that, as we have now time before lunch, that I want to ask, and I think, and we want to open it up and we want to talk about it. UWG had a great year this year. We're here a year from now, okay? What would that mean to you? Here's why. What would your answer be? You personally, from your viewpoint, your perspective, what you do on this campus, what would that mean? What would you have accomplished? Faye, you want to go first? Put you in the spot.
$5 million for a new business building.
There you go. Like that one. Good, good. Jeff, what would it be?
Well, I mean, I would say, that, from a faculty perspective, that the faculty feel like that there has been open and honest communication, from the top, and that, those lines of communication stay open.
Great. Anybody else? Shout outs. Come on, Diane, what would be good? And I know another 5 million, right?
Okay, right. Well, we have set the stage for a comprehensive campaign here at the university, and it's something that is definitely needed here. We haven't had one in our 108-year history, and a lot of folks haven't been through a campaign, but it will be transformational, and it's going to affect every one of you, and it's going to raise the level of philanthropy at the university for decades to come. So it's very exciting, and we look forward to that journey with all of you.
Pauline, come on, there you go. We just had lunch.
50 new majors.
All right, 50 new majors in theater. You heard it. She put the gauntlet down. That's measurable. Is it attainable? Yes, there you go. Great. John.
There's an energy on this campus that I haven't felt since I've been here, and I'm excited about that. And I think that that's something that's going to carry us into the future. And if everybody rallies around that, I think it's going to be a great year, even better next year.
Great. And Simone.
Oh, boy. To send 15 new students abroad for our study abroad program.
Fantastic. Anybody else? Come on, Michael. Survive me?
New provost, I think. No. No, I think, there are all kinds of material things we could name, more millions and more buildings and more students and more majors all around. But I go back to one thing you said early on, which is the sense that there is a default response to things here that is positive as opposed to negative. That, we have faculty who are happy and staff who are happy and students who are happy, and when something goes amiss or when there's some communication bubble, we're confident that we know where to find it and that we're going to find it, and we're not going to be terribly disappointed with what we find. I think that whole paradigm shift would be wonderful, and I look forward to that.
Thanks, Michael. Well, and I just got to say, Michael is the best partner I could ever have. The issues we deal with, you can't make up sometimes on a day-to-day basis. But we always approach it with what's best for our students, what's best for our colleagues, what's best for this institution. And we usually insert, when applicable, some humor, but it's wonderful because we have the same through line at everything we discuss, and I couldn't ask for a better partner. Thank you, Michael. Melanie, come on, what is your goal this year? What are you going to do?
I liked what he said, but we probably need 3,000 students in Noonan. That would be good. Yes, I like what was mentioned about having excellence across the board and not just in pockets. I would like to see that in my area because I clearly have some strong areas and some other areas that are need a little bit more. I would ask for Bill to have a winning football team that won every game. That would be great. So,
Excellent. Randy.
More student success stories like the one that just came out of English. We set a goal of reducing the DFW rates in English 1101 and 1102. We did a 3-year benchmark. We were at over 30% of the number of students who enrolled in those courses who were, DFW rates were like 33 and 31. The fall DFW rate, they worked a year on looking at what they were doing and how they were evaluating student writing. They didn't change a standard at all, but they changed a lot. And the fall DFW rate for English 1101 was down to 24%. The spring DFW rate for 1102 was down to 19%. That's good news for everybody at this university. Good job, Nate.
Great job. Brian.
One of the things we're focusing on is giving our teams or making sure they have the right tools, the right skills, and a clear understanding of realistic expectations and holding them accountable to it.
Thanks, Brian. Jamie.
I would love for UCM to be able to achieve a national story on our journey in the Engage West process, because we're a forerunner, and I think that's something that would be terrific to share. I would like to see our awareness of all the great work we're doing increase from 83% to 87%, measurable. And I would like for our ability to continue to tell stories to become even more engaging, because we have so many pride points and we continue to share so much energy.
Great. Lorraine, library.
Well, the library's had phenomenal growth in usage since we renovated 3 years ago, and it's having impact on faculty and staff in terms of workload. I'd like for us to work together to find some work-life balance in our faculty and staff.
Actually, it's Michael and I talked about that because, you know, after the year, I'll be honest with you, May hit and I expected things to slow down a little bit, and it didn't. Got into June and literally I felt physically tired, emotionally tired. Had an opportunity to do this Harvard seminar for new presidents. And one of the things that we talked about was we had to find time as individuals for balance and things that energize you, to focus in your, whether it's work or your off work time, something that energizes you. So I challenge each of you to do that. If that's family, whatever that may be, balance. Because your happiness, the environment, not only in what we're doing here through the Engage West methodology, but even more important, your personal balance and your ability to bring that energy to campus in your work is only going to make the environment better. So thank you for that, Lorraine. All right, volunteers, Dale.
I'm with the ITS Project Management Office, and one of the things we do is to make your work better and to bring your projects to completion. And one of the ones I hope to see further along this year is the wireless be expanded across campus and make it more ubiquitous.
Yeah. And that is happening. It's very, very exciting. Sal.
Well, from the perspective of our department, which is a political science department, I would like to make sure that whenever a student comes to us, they can answer one simple question. Are you ready to lead? Because when I ask that question, all I get is empty, scared, like, you know, I have no idea what language you're speaking, but it is not the language that I speak, even though I say it in Spanish and Portuguese and other languages. Are you ready to lead? They have no idea what that means. So if we can get to that point where they can answer, even in a lukewarm kind of way, kind of, maybe, sort of, then I think we'll be moving in the right direction.
Awesome. All right, let's see, wait, I feel like Dr. Phil or something here. All right, I'm gonna put Jane McCandless on the spot. Because Jane, let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing as part of this. Because as Janet said, we're the first to journey in this spectrum. She showed you K through 12 examples. We're creating this, and I think if we can all accept as we're creating it, it's going to be messy at times, but at the end of the day, where we are, it's always going to be better, because we're always continuously improving. Change means that we're striving towards continuous improvement. We have the vision out there, so let's work together to find that, and part of that was the survey. We knew first time out of the gate, the survey is what it was, and it gave us clear direction of where we needed to address what we needed to do. We also knew for this effort and the risk, frankly, the risk we're putting ourselves at to be part of this journey, we wanted to have skin in the game at the end of it, and we believe we have the expertise on this campus to create a survey mechanism that could be the standard in the entire higher ed industry. So we were able to talk with Janet, convince Studer Group and the board to let us be part of that, and so that we will have the intellectual property of the survey forward. So then I asked my favorite person that I put stuff on all the time. Well, there's lots of favorite people. I love you all. But CYA. Okay, there we go. It's Jane to put together a group to start working on this. So Jane, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, thanks. I would really rather have members of the committee right now to stand up and accept some ownership in this, because it isn't about me. What we did, all I did, was go to all of the deans and the vice presidents and say, give me the name of your most outstanding people when it comes to survey questionnaire development. And these are the people who are now going to lead the process. So please, colleague, I know several of you are in here. That's stand up. So that's it.
Awesome. Mr. Criminology.
A goal for the year, let's see, integrate 4 new faculty members and maintain the same standards that we set last year would be a great success for us.
National rankings?
National rankings, U.S. News and World Reports with a new special section specifically for criminology and criminal justice, which is new and different for us because the online program rankings in the past have been for bachelor's programs generally, and it only applied to us specifically because we were the only online bachelor's program. This year they have a special category for criminology and criminal justice because of the growth in the field in general. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Awesome, awesome. We got a volunteer. The first volunteer.
My name is Chad Davidson. I'm the director of the School of the Arts here. And a lot of what I do focuses on community outreach and student recruitment, but I would kill to have a showing like this at one of our events. So a year from now, I'd like to see a lot more faculty and staff involvement in all of the activities we put on. They're free, and you might even enjoy yourself.
Great. Great job. Now, first, before Justin does, I have to say I got a little verklempt with Justin's testimonial, what he read, because, boy, if you can be that vulnerable with your staff and write a statement like that, it means something that truly cares about changing the environment in his unit and what he does there, and so I want to thank you for that. Thanks.
One of our focuses this year is going to really bring operations out of the shadows. We have a very large incomplete rate on our applications. That means that people actually pay $40 and don't finish it. So we're going to be a lot more aggressive this year. We're looking for a 5% drop, and we have some amazing operations team members. We're going to bring them out of the shadows. We're going to see a 5% drop in our incomplete rate, and we're really excited about that.
Awesome. Great.
We're hoping to graduate more students in computer science. Our placement rate has been 100% for the last 16 years. We just need to get more students through, so our graduation rates need to go up.
Good answer. All right. Daryl.
Well, Bill's already said we're going to win a championship in football, so I'll change course. I'd like to continue the relationship building and cooperation that athletics has with the university community. Athletics will play a very, very important part in the growth and exposure of our university over the next few years, and the cooperation that we have with the university is going to be essential. And we've done a great job of building that over the last few years, and continuing that relationship and building better bonds and communication with athletics and our university community would be my goal.
I'm Ashley Lewis. I serve as the Vice Chair for the Staff Advisory Council. And this past year, we've had a lot of new opportunities to get involved and get staff voice heard on campus. So just looking for more ways of how we can be more proactive as far as staff on campus.
Awesome. Anybody? Donna, what happened? Okay.
Hi, I'm Deidre from the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, and one of the goals I'd like for our office, as well as everyone here, to aid in accomplishment, and I'll piggyback on Mr. Dickey and Chad in terms of really the imperative of the partnership success. I think that's so important for our students, for our faculty, for our staff, to really look at that imperative and what we can do as a university to continue to increase that, because we do want the students to graduate and leave, right? So then they will be part of the community.
I think we have wonderful students here, have had wonderful students there, and I don't think we get that message out enough about what our students have done and what wonderful things they have done. For example, we've had 2 students in this past year who were West Georgia alumni, who went to medical school, graduated from medical school, and came back to the community and now are doctors in town.
Excellent. Awesome. Lisa.
I'd like to have enough new faculty and staff lines to keep pace with growth and to continue growing, to allow programs to grow and to keep pace with the growth of the university.
Mine's not a goal that I personally can do, but I'm hoping that as an employee here and a resident of Carrollton, that I could say it's been a great year at UWG and for Carrollton because the Greenbelt is completed. So now I can safely and comfortably bike to campus, and residents of Carrollton can be recreationally passing through campus and be informed by what's going on.
Awesome. Well, I'll put a shameless plug in there because we do have, on September 19th, we're going to do a 5K and dedicate the new part of the Greenbelt. And we'll start at C6, come on down, do the whole path, and then we'll finish downtown. We'll have buses take people back, or you can stay for Wolves Take the Square and enjoy all that fun with the band and everybody. John.
As the new chair of the economics department, first of all, I want to survive the first year. Secondly, I want to provide my faculty an opportunity to get out into the community and see what the needs are of incoming students and understand what kind of trials that they're going to be facing.
Okay, we have many great goals in HR, but I stood to tell you about our Wolf Wellness program and our goals for that. Our Wolf Wellness will start back up in August, and we have some lunch and learn, so I'm looking for 100% a visitation rate from you guys for our lunch and learns, and also we have smoking cessation classes that we'll have coming up. So that's my goal for the year, is to have everyone to come out to participate in Wolf Wellness so we can become a healthy campus.
Hi, I'm Melissa Tarrant. I'm director of the Advising Center, and one of our goals is to increase our proactive advising strategies and outreach to freshman students to increase our freshman to sophomore retention.
I'm John Head, AVP for Enrollment Management. One of the goals that I would love to see accomplished this year is to have utilization across the campus of a wonderful new tool called the Faculty Toolbox. Danny Gurley, a great committee of folks have been working on this. You're going to have a link to it on the website, and it's a way for you to report any issue with a student. They're not coming to class. They're not doing well academically. You think there might be plagiarism involved. You're worried about them because of behavioral or personal issues. There's also some information there about some of the things that we ask you to do. Roster verification. What is return to Title IV? Why is it important for you to know when they have last stopped attending class? All of that information can be in one spot on the web. If we can get utilization of that, we'll make a dramatic impact on our retention, and we won't have any more nasty SAP issues.
Great. Sherry.
Cher Hendricks with the Center for Teaching and Learning. We had 180 faculty and staff at our Innovation and Pedagogy Conference last April. I hope to see 300 there this year, and 1/3 of our faculty participating in at least one event for the Center for Teaching and Learning.
Awesome. Rob, you got somebody?
Janet Gubbins, Director of UWG Online. This year we hope to continue our efforts in helping to facilitate the offering of Quality Matters, which is professional development specific to increasing the quality of online and hybrid online courses. Last year we had 37 faculty who completed this program. They did not just complete one course, they completed a sequence of 3, and they did this on their own time. And for some of you who have participated, you know that it's actually very difficult, and we're very proud of those faculty, and we hope to expand those offerings in the coming year to more faculty.
I'm Laura Willocks, Director of the Doctoral Program in School Improvement, and I hope we can continue to build a doctoral culture here at the University of West Georgia. We've graduated 102 in our doctoral program alone, working with Dr. Kobia and Susan Welch. We're developing across campus doctoral programs and events, so I'm hoping we'll continue to build that culture.
Okay, Dr. Michael Hester, Dean of the Honors College. At the start of FY15, some of this you've already mentioned, we've achieved $10,000 committed to faculty stipends, creation of a new staff position, Director of Communication within the Honors College. All of that was asking $0 from anyone else on campus through internal reallocations. The goals that we'll achieve by the end of FY15 is there'll be a 20% increase in the number of honors students that are in an honors class, in other words, seats that are filled by 20% increase. And we'll also have more than 6,000 hours of community service performed by honors students as part of our community engagement program.
Kathy Crawl from ITS, and we're going to partner with UCM to create a great new website.
Love that one. Love that one.
Juanita Hicks, Human Resources again. We did receive 2 new positions to support all of the engagement that we have around quality faculty and staff hiring processes. So look for a new structure and most importantly, support from our office in that initiative.
I'm Kevin Hibbert, Director of Choirs and Chair of the Music Department, and I'd like to hear an announcement that the capital campaign will include construction of a real concert hall on this campus, as well as sufficient teaching spaces for our faculty.
Awesome, awesome. Anybody else?
I've got one, sir. I wanted to, Dale talked about the wireless earlier. I'm the manager of the network around here, so that's a big thing for us. But I wanted to mention one that's behind the scenes that hopefully none of you will ever actually know happened. But we have out the core, the heart of our network. We've got 2 new big, huge pieces of hardware that we hope to get, not hope, will get swapped over to, and our hope is that nobody in this room and nobody on the campus will ever know that it happened.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we got a couple minutes left, and I want to bring it back as we finish out the morning session with Janet's presentation and the way in which we can look to what this year will bring, and I talked a little bit about that in the morning, that this year is going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. You feel the energy, you feel where we're headed and what we're trying to achieve. But remember, and Dr. Eigel's going to go talk about that this afternoon, there's going to be frustration. There's going to be challenge. Anytime you have change, that's going to intersect and it's going to create those volatile moments. We have to find that default to where we know that's going to help us grow. And as the slide that was before the question slide, where the heart and the mind intersect, where our passions for what we do, because I truly believe that you as my colleagues, every single one of you come to work every day believing that you're doing a higher good here in higher ed. You chose this not for the money. I know that. You chose this profession because you believe in it, and you believe the impact that it can have. And so our job then, as senior leadership, is to equip you, to help you to be successful, to create those environments. And this process, it's going to be messy, folks, but it's going to be our process, and at the end of the day, we'll own it because we are invested in it, we are part of it, we are part of every building block along that way. As you heard with the action plans, everybody's doing it slightly different. That's beautiful. People ask for templates, for this, for that. We'll help organize that, but I'd rather you take the time in the dialogue with your groups to create what works for you, because it has to mean something. We aren't checking boxes. Yes, SACS is going to love us, inevitably, but that's not the reason to do it. That's just checking boxes saying we have to do this for accreditation. What we're trying to do, and what I've told my VPs and everybody else, don't make a goal and put it on there just for the sake of doing it and checking it off. It has to mean something. It has to mean something to you, so you're passionate about it every day to achieve that. So when you build your plans, when you build your action plans from the survey, when you build your SMART goals, think about, is this really what you're invested to do and make happen? And can you own it? And can the people you work with, can you lead them to own that? So put that all together. This morning was a lot of demonstration. We're going to eat some lunch. I want to invite you to look at the barrier sheets on the wall, add to them. You're going to see 2 sledgehammers awarded today because they're really breaking down barriers, and we need your help with that. There's going to be other activities from the social team outside also to play and do some things. Catch up on your email if you need to, but this is a time where you all try to engage with each other, get to know each other. This is an incredible opportunity for us here in a day to capture it on a gorgeous day like this. And so I will hand it over to our MC. Janet, you have anything else you wanted to say? Great. And she'll give us instructions before we head to lunch. Thank you all so much.